So many strategies, so many schemes, so many initiatives from the side of the security, from the side of the state government, from the side of the central government. And has it all produced any concrete result? That is a $1,000,000 question, correct? Because after so much of expenditure, what have we gained? And the answer is there to see. Maoist hit districts in 2007. If you see, look at this. Just look at this picture here. In 2007. It will not be an exaggeration if we say that almost half of the country is affected by Naxalism back in 2007. And the situation is looking very bleak. The situation is not at all looking good. And like I told you, this is why Operation Green Hunt was brought in at that time period. But now look at 2017's map. What do we see? It is largely confined to the eastern region. And it is on the decline. Let us see now the current status of left-wing extremism. According to the data provided by Ministry of Home Affairs, there has been a steady decline in left-wing extremism affected areas, that is the geographical spread of left-wing extremism, as well as its related violence. Geographical spread, I showed you the map, how the almost as a scourge that was spreading across the country, like a cancer, it was spreading across the country in 2007, and now how it has been restricted mostly towards the eastern side. So geographical spread we know. In terms of violence, we need concrete data, because simply writing a sentence that the violence has reduced, more number of people are surrendering, that is not sufficient. That is something what a general public or ordinary man will write. As an UPSC aspirant, it is expected out of you to write professional answers where each and every statement needs to be validated. Case in point being, incidents of Naxal violence in the country have dropped by 77% between 2009 and 2021. That is data. That is specific. And that is what we need to score marks in UPSC mains. Let us see some more data now. So, basically it is being said that the death of security personnel due to Maoist violence have more than doubled in Chhattisgarh in the past 3 years. It should not come as surprising considering the fact that it is in the eastern side where we find Naxalism at its worst. So obviously this is not surprising, but then effectively we have to see to it that this is dealt with. Deaths, civilian plus security forces overall in the country when you see have reduced by 85% from an all-time high of 1,005 in 2010 to 147 in 2021. Clear? Moving on. In terms of geographical area, when we see, specifically when we speak, 46 districts were reported to be affected by left-wing extremism related violence in 2021, whereas it was 96 districts in 2010. Number of districts generating almost 90% of left-wing extremism violence, which has been classified as the most left-wing extremism affected districts, have decreased from 35 in 2018 to 30 in 2021. And if you look into the diagram here, what do we see? In 2009, if you see, 2009, what is the data telling us? 2,258 incidents of left-wing extremism violence was there. And in that again, if you see, 509 was the left-wing extremism violence in the year 2021, registering a drop of 77%. Coming to the districts with left-wing extremism violence, it is a drop of 52%, that is from 96 to 46. Coming to deaths due to left-wing extremism violence, again it is a drop of 1,005 to 147. Clear? So this is the idea here. Clearly everything is on the decline, but then an exception is Chhattisgarh. Alright, moving on. Let us see what else is the current status now. In the current status further, again, we are now bringing the diagram here in detail. The purpose here is, see, notice the way it has been represented. You can use these type of representations for your exam. Number 1, diagrams. Number 2, you can use them as data itself. just show that this is dropped by 77%, there has been a drop by 85%, there has been a drop by 52%. Like that, you can represent it. Clear? You need not actually draw these circles and all. But then, yeah, it is welcome. It is up to you whether you want to represent it that way or not, whether you want to put it up a pie chart or not. But this, you can show it in this manner. That will make your answer more appealing. Clear? Moving on. Now, let us see the status that is there with regard to each and every state when it comes to left-wing extremism. In the case of Andhra Pradesh, eradication of Maoist violence. Understand this? Eradication. Completely eradicated. The credit has been given to whom? The state's greyhounds. In Maharashtra, they have been confined to border areas of Gadchiroli. Local police and the C-60 force have played a pivotal role in actually reducing its impact there. West Bengal achieved normalcy through an ingenious strategy adopted by the state police, where surrendering, etc. was encouraged and rehabilitation into mainstream society was also encouraged. A two-pronged approach it was. The Jharkhand Jaguars have gained an upper hand in the past few years with regard to dealing with Naxalism. Odisha has confined Maoist activity largely to the place known as Malkangiri. Bihar, the state continues to have Maoist trouble in some districts, but violence has been coming down. Clear? However, Chhattisgarh continues to remain a challenge. Trouble in Chhattisgarh started after Maoists began to be smoked out of Andhra Pradesh in the early 2000s. So we told greyhounds were responsible for smoking them out. But then smoking them out, what has happened is it is not complete elimination or complete rehabilitation. What has instead happened is they have just gone to Chhattisgarh. The terrain and demographic challenges that Chhattisgarh offers is humongous. Like I told you, that entire region, if you see, it is filled with small hills and plateau type plains and is covered with dense thick forest. As a result of which, any such initiative for counter insurgency operations is not going to be easy. Public has more sympathy for the Maoists there. Why? Because most of the public, when you talk about, they are again from the tribal community or they know somebody from the tribal community. So, word of mouth itself, if you take and see, it is in favor of what? The Maoists. Between 2018 and 2020, Chhattisgarh has accounted for 45% of all incidents in the country and 70% of security personnel death in such incidents, which we already saw. Chhattisgarh actually saw, what is it? Doubling of the deaths of security forces in this last 3 years. So Chhattisgarh has to be dealt with separately or effectively, or new strategies has to be devised which will help in dealing with the Maoist issue in Chhattisgarh effectively. Chhattisgarh police too has raised a special counter Maoist force called District Reserve Guards. Salva Judam, which is a militia consisting of local tribal youth, received support and training from Chhattisgarh government for its anti-Naxalite operations. A senior IB official was quoted as saying, in Chhattisgarh we might take a little more time, but we will succeed. It is only a matter of time because see, when development is happening, like I told you, when people are able to see this development is for me, government of India is there to take care of me. When that faith is restored, then there is no scope or room for extremism. Even then, a few of them will be there who will continue in the path of violence. But like I told you, for that, we need to answer the bullet with a bullet. Clear? With not for the purpose of taking anybody's life, but to stop them. That is the ultimate idea there. Clear? Moving on. So far we saw about the Chhattisgarh challenge. Now, tribal population and Naxalism. Let us try to understand a few more points here because it's almost over. It's almost over now. We saw almost all the aspects of it, but then some more pointers. Why? Because these pointers can be used by you for your intro or for your conclusion of any answer. So let us see. The poor and marginalized sections like tribals are bearing the brunt of Naxalism violence. Majority of these civilians killed are tribals, often branded as police informers before being brutally tortured and killed by Naxalites. Tribals caught between two sides in a war, police forces and Naxalites. This is the worst thing. They are caught in a tug of war here. So support the cops, Naxalites will kill them. Support the Naxalites, the cops will kill them or torture them. So both the ways, if you see, they are bearing the brunt of it. So that is the reason why most of them are like keeping aloof. They are like, they don't want Naxalites. They don't want to even interact with the police. They just want to carry on with their life. Even that is still fine. Like I told you, even if we have a middle group who are not bothered with anything, that is still fine. Why? Ultimately, they are going to be the beneficiaries. At least we can stop the recruitment of fresh Naxalites into the system. Correct. So that is the advantage there. So understood here why tribals are finding it very troublesome with this whole Naxalism and anti-Naxal operations. But this doesn't end here. Even otherwise also, if you say, tribals always feels that these police forces or the security agencies are different people. Why? The reason is they don't trust them first of all, and the culture is varied and the appearance is also different. The moment you go to a tribal area, you will get to know that you are an alien there. You are not at all welcome there, depending upon like which side of the tribal region you have visited. Getting the idea? So you are not welcome there. So you are always viewed with suspicion. This automatically reduces the impact of tribal friendly measures. Even if you try to be friendly, the opposite person may not be friendly. Extremist movements have disconnected several tribal villages from the national mainstream, which is also a reality. Because even whether they want to join Naxalism or not, the very fact that the village is under a red corridor actually leads to what? Actually leads to alienation of the village from the mainstream Indian society. Clear? Moving on. So what can be done here? So way forward. So way forward already we have seen, we have wrote plenty of points. We have seen the Samadhan doctrine, we have seen various schemes, all that we saw. But then way forward when we say, we have to understand one thing. These are the points what you can use for your mains answer also. Like for example, first of all, it is not a law and order problem. It is largely a developmental lacunae that took place since 1947 or even before that. And it had gone on becoming neglected year after year by subsequent governments, and ultimately it just snowballed into something huge. Clear? It is basically related to the imbalance in the dispensation of social and economic justice involving socio-economic issues, particularly land and mineral resources. So ultimately, if the tribal people are also getting a share out of the mining wealth, then maybe the socio-economic justice factor can be ensured. If their children are not dying because of infant mortality rate is being at a high level, mothers are not dying, as a result of which MMR is also improving, why will anybody go and join Naxalism? Getting the idea? The whole point is what ultimately, that there is a government of India to take care of you. That idea should be implanted in their head. Some more points we will see now, because all these sentences you can use it directly for your way forward, even in your answer also. There should be effective devolution of authority to the Panchayati Raj institutions for people's participation within the administration of justice and management of their affairs at the root level. Robust efforts of the government in this direction will go a long way in containing Naxalism. So from the ground level, it should start from the Panchayati Raj institutions, from the state government, then from the central government, and all of this should be under the watchful eye of what? Watchful eye of the judiciary as well as the media. Only then we can ensure what? Naxalism is brought down. Clear? Shall I move forward? Now that we have discussed Naxalism in detail, it is only natural that we discuss a few questions, prospective questions with regard to the same subject. So the first question to be discussed is, what are the security measures taken by the government of India to curb the menace of left-wing extremism in India? How successful are those measures? Elucidate, answer in 250 words. So first thing first, when you get a question, is you need to identify the key words. What are the security measures? taken by the government of India. So that means pan-Indian measures you can talk about. Curb the menace of left-wing extremism in India. How successful are those measures? Elucidate, answer in 250 words. Elucidate, when we say, it means explain. That's it. So as part of this, what will be the first thing to do? First thing, as part of your introduction, you can give what? A brief definition of left-wing extremism. Historical injustice, developmental problems, the poor rehabilitation package, forest being diverted for non-forest uses and not sharing the profit with the tribal people. All of that you can mention there. All right, in brief. All right, then coming to the body. So what should be the body comprising of? Body should comprise of security measures that have been adopted. So what will be the security measures that you will be talking about? You can talk about initiatives from the side of the police force. You can talk about greyhounds. You can talk about Salva Judam. You can talk about IAF plus NTRO, drones. So all these are part of the security measures. Then again, security related expenditure scheme. All these are security associated. So you mentioned them. Now how effective these are? So effectiveness, that will be the next part of your answer. Effectiveness, when we talk about, what can you do? You can mention about the 77% drop in terms of violences, the 85% drop in terms of death. You can talk about the drop in terms of districts, 96 to 46, more than 50% drop in the affected areas. So overall, when you see, the initiatives have largely been successful and Maoism has been restricted to now a few areas in the east. This much if you represent and you draw the map also, easily it will come to what? The word limit and everything will be covered. You have given data to validate your answer. You draw the map to show the geographical spread has been reduced, and you have also given the names of the various security initiatives that have been taken to deal with the problem. Job is done. Is it difficult? This is the advantage. If you prepare something so well, this is the advantage of it. Let us see one more question now. There is an increase in extremist activities in Chhattisgarh as compared to other eastern states in recent times. Discuss the reason behind this and suggest some measures to control this. So an increase in extremist activities in where? Chhattisgarh compared to other states. Discuss the reason behind this and suggest some measures. So first things first is what? Again, here also look into the word limit, 250 words. That means 15 marks. First thing is to underline the keywords, which has been done. Correct. Now you start with what? As usual, you give the introduction, which could be a definition of left-wing extremism. So left-wing extremism definition has been given. Then you talk about what? The Chhattisgarh challenge. Why there has been an increase. You can talk about the Andhra Pradesh issue. The first thing. Then you can talk about the geography. Right. Then you can talk about the public support. Then obviously you can talk about historical neglect. Then a predominantly tribal population. All these you can mention there. Plus, in addition to this, reasons have been discussed. What are the measures to control? Measures, when we talk about, you can write about what? You can write about the Samadhan doctrine. You can talk about the initiative of the state police force. You can talk about Salva Judam, SRE, expenditure, all of that. Clear? So this is the way you can put it up. Now, prospective questions we saw, and therefore we are going to see the previous year questions also. What are the determinants of left-wing extremism in the eastern part of India? What strategy should the government of India civil administration and security forces adopt to counter the threat in the affected area? 250 words. Question was asked in 2020. Determinants of left-wing extremism in Eastern India. The earlier two questions, whatever points we wrote, the same thing again. As usual, the keywords have been underlined. Determinants of left-wing extremism in Eastern part. Strategy adopted by Government of India, civil administration, security forces to counter the threat. So here what it is, here specifically they are asking. So once again, as part of your introduction, you will have what is left-wing extremism. Then as part of your body, what and all determinants are there in Eastern India. So Eastern India, because it is being mentioned in the question, what will you do? You will definitely talk about the geography there. You will talk about the geography of Eastern India, the demography of Eastern India, demography. You will talk about the historical injustice in Eastern India, historical injustice. Then you will talk about the tribal people or the tribal population. Okay, that is discussed here, tribal population. Then how tribal support is there for Naxalism. Those reasons you will mention. Then you will give what? Then you will talk about each effort put by the civilian administration from the side of the government. That is security plus development. You will give examples of Chhattisgarh State Police Force, what they are doing. Various examples you will give. Then when we talk about the security forces, you can mention about what? You can mention about how greyhounds have changed the scenario in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Then when you talk about the central government, you can do what? You can mention about Geet, Gold. Correct. Such schemes you can mention. And then finally you will give your conclusion / way forward. Is this tough? I don't think so. This is pretty much whatever we have discussed. And if you look at the question, it is a pretty direct question it is. In 2020 this was asked. Let us see a few more years backwards so that we will get to know whether our preparation has been correct and on track. Left-wing extremism is showing a downward trend but still affects many parts of the country. Briefly explain Government of India's approach to counter the challenges posed by left-wing extremism. Answer in 250 words, 2018. So here it is talking about left-wing extremism is showing downward trend. So once again your introduction will be what? A definition of LWE. What is left-wing extremism? And it is still affecting many parts of the country. So once again, still affecting many parts of the country means it is only natural that you draw the Indian map. Shade this region. LWE affected districts. That will be the second part of your answer. And after that, what you will do? India's approach, briefly explain in Government of India's approach to counter the challenges posed by left-wing extremism. So now you should give what? Suggested solution. You can start with what and all. You can start with gold. You can start with, you can talk about Geet. You can start with the 1000 Spring Initiative. You can talk about TriFed plus Amazon collaboration. Then you can talk about the aspirational districts program. Correct. So many such schemes you will mention. Job gets done. And once again, way forward. Way forward means you again what you will use? You will use that Naxalism is not a law and order problem. Not a law and order problem. And then it has to be dealt effectively how? Through socio-economic security strategy. Clear? Answer is complete. So question more or less remains the same. Content also more or less remains the same. What is the advantage here? One topic you prepare and keep. Keep a few data with you, few schemes with you. Learn to draw the Indian map. 15 marks is in your pocket. Correct? So this is what we will do. Let us see a few more questions now from previous years. The persisting drives of the government for development of large industries in backward areas have resulted in isolating the tribal population and the farmers who face multiple displacements. With Malkangiri and Naxalbari foci, discuss the corrective strategies needed to win the left-wing extremism doctrine affected citizens back into mainstream of social and economic growth. Answer in 250 words, UPSC 2015. So what are we talking about here? Here basically, we must understand the question remains the same. Persisting drives of the government for development has led to what? Isolating tribal population, farmers who face multiple displacements. And keeping in focus Malkangiri and Naxalbari, discuss the corrective strategies needed to win left-wing extremism doctrine affected citizens back into mainstream of social and economic growth. Corrective strategies they are talking about. Corrective strategies, when we say, as usual, introduction will be what? About what is left-wing extremism. That does not change. Development, why is it necessary in these regions, especially when we say these regions are what? Very rich in. These regions are very rich in what? Minerals, correct? So, that you will mark and show. Rich in minerals and forest produce. So, that is the reason why this region is being targeted. But then, development initiatives have led to alienation. Corrective steps from the side of legislature, PESA, FRA. Both acts from the side of executive, implementing the 5th and 6th schedule of Constitution. That you will write first. Under that again, subcategory you will write security related. There you will mention about Greyhound, Salva Judam. You can mention about Gold, Geet, Thousand Spring, etc. will come directly under other initiatives of the executive. Clear? Other initiatives of executive, Gold, Geet, Thousand Springs will come. This much if you do, job is done. Easily if you expand and write all of this, that also will get covered. Here the only slight twitch is you will mention from the side of the legislature also what is being done. Plus, it doesn't end there. One more thing. How to restore psychological initiative, psychological motivation. How? Election of first tribal president. That is very important. A representative from the tribal has been appointed to the highest office in the country. So that is a huge initiative that actually tells the people that you are a part of us. Or rather, we are trying to tell them, please accept us as a part of you. Because obviously, let us admit it, they are the true inhabitants of this country. Clear? So that is what the answer is about. That also you will add up there. You can also add about the fact that how National Award for Best Singer was given to a tribal. Clear? So that also you can add up there. So with that much, if you put it up, the job is done. Clear, people? So one last question from the previous year, which is the question from 2013. Article 244 of the Indian Constitution relates to the administration of scheduled areas and tribal areas. Analyze the impact of non-implementation of the provisions of the 5th schedule on the growth of left-wing extremism. So, what is Article 244 dealing with? Administration of scheduled areas and tribal areas. Analyze the impact of non-implementation of 5th schedule on the growth of left-wing extremism. So basically you can give a brief about Article 244 and what do you mean by the fifth schedule. In brief, you can mention this. Clear what it is basically. Then fifth schedule's non-implementation, yes, to a certain degree it has led to left-wing extremism. But that alone is not the reason. We'll talk about what. So implementation, again, it will create trouble. But the problem is with regard to huge development projects. Problems associated with the fact of demography. How tribal people see us as aliens. Number 3, how the ideology of Naxalism has alienated the people. Non-state actors supporting it. Non-state actors, that is, they are getting fund from either from terrorist organization or from countries outside that way. So those are also a reason. Getting the idea. Then finally, you will give way forward. So these are basically not just non-implementation of fifth schedule. Other reasons are also there because they have asked to analyze. Fifth schedule, if you don't implement, people will face malgovernance, maladministration. But that alone is what has it contributed to left-wing extremism? No. Growth of Naxalism has happened because of other reasons also. That we will put up over there. Then finally, way forward or conclusion part, we will mention about the schemes that will help in bringing it down. With that, your answer will be complete. Clear? So do one thing. Note down these questions, including the prospective ones. Write your answers. Send it to us. Get it evaluated. And that way what happens is one topic gets covered. Getting the idea? You have a ready-made topic with you where the potential for the topic to come in UPSC is very huge. So there is no trouble at all in preparing on this topic. Clear? Worst to worst case scenario, what? You can use the schemes mentioned for improving the life of the tribals or the rural people in remote areas or in forested areas. That way also you can put it up. Correct. So that way this topic becomes over. Your job is also done. You will also feel confident about your answer writing skills also. So incorporating all of this, starts writing and sending in your answers. And with that, we come to an end of our left-wing extremism module. Okay, people? Take care.